Hello everyone and welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm of course Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for the first episode of Raw on Netflix. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way. Shall you leave a like, comment below, let them know your thoughts on this episode of Raw, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I will greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into this review, shall we? So, Raw is officially no longer on the USA Network, and boy, did they make it known. We had cursing, we had FU Solo, holy shit chants. We had a bunch of just uncensored versions. I think the only thing that got censored was when The Rock came out and, he was high-fiving Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. And I think he said, "Let's effing go." I think that was the only thing that got censored. Besides that, everything else was off the cuff and everything was able to be heard. Freaking Travis Scott was smoking a joint on live television. It was a night. It was quite the party. And I would say overall, that's what this episode of Raw was. It was a party. I mean, it's almost like, why even review this? Because this was just one of those feel-good shows. All of the faces won. Roman Reigns won Tribal Combat. Rhea Ripley won her Women's Championship back. And the feud is officially over. We had Jey Uso beat Drew McIntyre with an upside-down crucifix. We had CM Punk beat Seth Rollins, who I do think Punk was more the face in that feud than Seth was. And, now they'll go their separate ways until they meet back up. I think this is a feud where I do think they're going to have multiple matches. And I'm surprised it ended clean. I've been saying, if you've been following me, I've been saying, I think, look, I'm happy this match is happening on sooner rather than later. But I just don't think it's going to end clean since it's on a Monday Night Raw. And I will also say this just really wasn't a Raw episode. This was like an equivalent of a Raw's 30, a Raw 1000, those special novelty episodes where, it's really, again, just a party. If you were looking for wrestling, like how I am, this is probably not for you. If you are looking for the nostalgia act, if you're looking for, that sense of wonder that wrestling was, then yeah, this is probably going to be great because, the matches for itself, although two of them got some really big noise out of them, I think Rhea and Liv probably had the best match of the night to me personally. I did like Punk and Seth. That was probably my second favorite. And then after that, it's the Tribal Combat. It's just, to me, the Bloodline matches to me have just run its course. I think I'm just over it at this point, but I am definitely in the minority. I mean, this is awesome chants that were happening throughout. I will say I did get invested once Solo kicked out of the Roman spear. I was kind of just sitting on the matches where I was like, well, I gotta wait for Tama Tonga to come out or Jacob Fatu to come out, and then I know we're building to a finish. And sure enough, that's what we were doing. And then, Solo does a Samoan spike, Roman kicks out 2.99, same run of the mill, right? Then Roman hits the spear after the odds get evened up, and I'm thinking 1, 2, and then Solo kicks out. I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of new. And then freaking Kevin Owens popping out. That was really cool with Cody Rhodes. The match overall was fine. And I do think, if you were a new viewer, which WWE was very much anticipating on this episode of Raw, hell, the commentary was really trying to explain all the characters in a way. And, they were trying to find that balance of people who have been watching the product and the people who have never watched the product to try to explain these characters. I do have complaints, but again, it almost seems unfair to complain about this show. I'm just sitting here thinking, if I was a brand new viewer and I wasn't always going to commit to this 3 hours, and the first 30 minutes, which I love the cold open video that played as the ring was covered, loved all of that. It was really cool to see. But then after that, it really was just 15 to 20 minutes of WWE just really patting themselves on the back and just how cool they are and how great they are. The Rock's always going to get a pop. Triple H is always going to get a pop. But, you can only say that you're so cool for so many times before I'm just like, all right, get on with it. Let's get on with the matches. And, 30 minutes after that, I'm just thinking, if you're a brand new viewer, I just don't know if you would really stick around after that. It's just okay, yeah, there was Triple H, there was The Rock. They kind of said how cool they were. And now here come some other people. I don't know. Just with that kind of aspect to me, I'm just kind of maybe I'm reading into it too much. Maybe I'm being a little too nerdy when it comes to that. Again, I'm understanding this was a party show. This was a variety show. This really wasn't about the wrestling. This really wasn't about, the stories that were being progressed on this. This was a showcase. I mean, I don't know how many times. I'm really curious to see what the runtime was with actual wrestling and what it was with just showing people in the crowd to showcase their roster. Because, yeah, they showed some of the celebrities that were in, mixed in with the wrestlers that were in. And again, they were just really trying to explain how much of the roster is because, again, they were anticipating so many more new viewers. Maybe they cater to it to a little too much too. And I also think, look, the Intuit Dome, it's fucking awesome. Like, that was really cool. I even tweeted out, I was like, the Intuit Dome was like when we were in the pandemic, and it was the Thunderdome, but with actual people around, with what they're able to do with the production. And I just felt like they went, again, like, it's so weird to complain about this episode of Raw, because like I feel like they were showcasing it a little too much for my liking, when I just wanted to get, to the guys with graps. Like, it was, again, I just think this show overall really wasn't for me. The wrestling that I did get was good. It was pretty decent. I would have just liked it if we would have just kicked off with the tribal combat and then maybe have Triple H and The Rock show up. And I also think we probably should have flipped the Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre in the women's IC title and put that in that spot. I get it. You got to have the Jey Uso entrance, especially with Travis Scott. And again, him smoking the joint. It was iconic. Don't get me wrong. That entrance was absolutely iconic. The match, really nothing to really run home about. Typical run-of-the-mill. And I just think the women's IC title spot kind of deserved the bigger spotlight. But on the flip side, next week, which also just looks like a badass show, and I am really looking forward to next week's, when it is kind of back down to business and we can focus on the storylines and the actual promos and the backstage segments and all that, and get back to what Raw really is, as opposed to this showcase show, which is what this was at the end of the day. It's going to have a much bigger spotlight. I hope it's the main event when we crown the first ever women's IC champion. Again, I really wish we had a contract signing segment on here too. That could have run the time. We could have easily put that contract signing in there instead of Hulk Hogan. I mean, Jesus Christ, that man was getting booed out of the fucking building. Granted, he was only 2 minutes. I guarantee you he was probably supposed to go longer until he realized, oh my God, they do not want me here. I really do think we probably could have put that in there instead of Hogan. Honestly, I know you were trying to get Stone Cold, and he was the next best choice, I suppose, but honestly, probably should have done that instead. Again, I'm just more looking forward to next week, when, it is about, the show itself, and we can get back to, okay, let's build to the Rumble. Let's build to our PLEs. Let's get our world champion involved. I mean, the fact that Gunther only had a video package, I'm just like, man, what are we doing here? So, yeah, again, I probably just rambled. I probably ranted, if anything. But again, that's just how I felt about this episode. Like, I really feel nothing towards it. Like, I understand it and I respect it. It's something you had to do. It was the first episode. You're going to have a bunch of eyeballs on it. Let's try to showcase as much of the roster as we can. The only way that we were really able to do that is to show them in the crowd and mix in with the celebrities that are going to be there, because we were going to have a bunch of celebrities on the show as well. Have that mixed in throughout. It is what it is. But I'm sure next week to me will be much better for me personally. Again, the tribal combat stuff, Bloodline, it's just kind of run its course for me, but I am definitely in the minority. Online, people loved it. And that in the arena, people absolutely loved it. Got it, this is awesome chant. I like the women's world title match for what it was. I'm glad that we can now just move on. It was also really cool for Rhea to get the rub from The Undertaker, my favorite of all time. So that was a really cool spot to see as well. Man literally just did a lap, put his fist in the air with Rhea Ripley, then left. That was very cool. Again, Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre, the Jey Uso entrance, absolutely worthy of this show. The match itself, nothing really to run home about. Punk and Rollins, I like how it really did feel like a fight. And it felt very real. You could tell they were really laying their stuff in, and boy, they were both feeling it afterwards. I'm not the hugest fan of the finish personally, because again, Seth hit a pedigree on this brand new announce table that I do feel like the superstars are going to take as a challenge to try to break it. I guarantee you Triple H was like, that table is unbreakable. You can't break it. And everyone's like, I could break it. Because they tried multiple times. Tribal Combat, they tried it. Didn't work. Rhea and Liv, they tried it. It didn't work. I don't think Jay and Drew had the opportunity to do so. But Punk and Rollins definitely tried to do it. And it didn't work. But Rollins hit the pedigree on that announce table. He hit 2 GTSs. He hit a stomp. And then just Punk was able to put 2 GTSs up where he already looks pretty dead. Again, he's mainly selling. But I'm just like, do one more GTS. Just, to really sell it. Because Rollins threw a lot at you and you're able to kick out, but 2 GTSs and Rollins is dead. I don't know. That just kind of sat wrong with me a little bit too. If that finish doesn't happen, maybe it's my favorite match of the night besides the women's match. But overall, again, for what we did, I understand, I respect it. I'm very curious to see where we move on with this women's world title program now that the Liv and Rhea chapter is officially over. I am curious to see what Punk is going to do. I guess he is entering the Rumble. I watched the post show for a little bit before I started this review, and it does look like that is where he is heading. I kind of hope John Cena and him are 1 and 2. That would be pretty cool to see. Wondering where Rollins is going to go from here. I am wondering where everyone else is going, but I am really excited to get to next week where it is business as usual and it's going to be an actual another typical show of Monday Night Raw where they're not like, hey, look at all the toys that we have in this arena. And again, they can just focus on their superstars and they won't have to worry about all the brand new viewers that will be happening because it's going to drop next week. It's just typical when that happens. And I am very happy that the servers didn't crash for me. But let me know what y'all think about it. If you made it this far within the review, please leave a like. I would greatly appreciate that. Comment below, let me know your thoughts. Maybe, I'm being too much of a negative Nancy. You could tell me that, but like, no, Z, come on, man. Just enjoy it for what it was. It was really cool to see all these new guys here. It was cool seeing The Rock, even though he completely forgot he was a heel. It was cool, that video package. Triple H, yeah, he deserves, to really pat himself on the back for everything that he's done. Yeah, go ahead and tell me. And maybe, when I wake up in the morning, I will be feeling a little differently. But right now, it's a show I understand that had to happen the way that it did. But I am ready to get back to normal business following next week. Hit that subscribe button as we will cover that episode along with SmackDown. If you're a fan of movies and television, subscribe here as well. Going to be covering a lot here in 2025. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Lemon Studios.